My name is Joel Correia. I'm an assistant professor in the Human Dimensions of Natural Resources Department here at Colorado State University. So I'm a human environment geographer by training and with a background in Latin America and Latin American studies. I do long-term collaborative and engaged research with indigenous peoples and human rights activists in Latin America. So principally focusing a lot of my work in Paraguay and in the Gran Chaco, which is the second largest forest ecosystem in Latin America. It's a dry scrub forest undergoing intensive development pressures and environmental change, a deforestation hotspot, and those processes really affect indigenous land rights and indigenous well-being in really dramatic ways. And so I've been working since about 2013 on those issues through those long-term partnerships. And more recently have also been working in the Ecuadorian Amazon, which is another site of intensive development pressure and rapid change from deforestation for hydrocarbon exploitation, as well as the expansion of palm oil industries, and working with a series of indigenous communities there, indigenous nations, to really focus on indigenous-led conservation and its outcomes in those spaces. So thinking about like engaged work with indigenous peoples, with community partners, and thinking how that all comes together through what we call political ecologies of conservation and development in Latin America. My book is titled Disrupting the Patrón, Indigenous Land Rights and the Fight for Environmental Justice in Paraguay's Chaco. It was published in April of 2023 with the University of California Press and is available open access through their website as well as in print. The book follows the struggles of three indigenous communities, Enxle and Sanapana, in the Paraguayan Chaco, and their efforts to recover portions of their ancestral territories through different legal processes as well as through direct resistance before the Inter-American Court of Human Rights as well as the Paraguayan state. Putting this within the context of environmental justice struggles, the book really thinks about the processes of indigenous land dispossession and settler colonialism and how they unfold through cattle ranching in this specific context, and the ways in which cattle ranching has affected indigenous well-being and life, and how indigenous land dispossession is fundamentally a question of environmental justice. So the book follows the different outcomes and processes of these three different communities who have worked together, but also in distinct kind of ways, and it also works with their legal counsel to understand the legal challenges, the potential for indigenous land rights, and the effects of indigenous mobilization and resistance, both legally and extra-legally, to advance new forms of resurgence and community well-being in the wake and in the face of extreme development pressures and challenges and persistent state racism. So the Dean's Grant for Transdisciplinary Approaches to Environmental Wicked Problems has been a fundamental source of support for an initiative that I and several collaborators at Colorado State University are trying to put forward, which is called the Just Socio-Ecological Transitions in Latin America program. So through JSET, we are trying to convene a community of practice that is really thinking very critically about the role of justice in transdisciplinary approaches to science and action. This involves faculty from HDNR, ESS, the Center for Protected Area Management, FRS, as well as my co-director and collaborator, Andrea Baldoa-Fara, who's also in ESS. And through this work, we have really, like for the last year, focused on building a community of graduate students and undergraduate students. Coming to Colorado State University from another university has been a really interesting and exciting experience for me. I'm just so excited about the different programs that we have here on campus, but also like really want to encourage students to reach out and get involved in the different kinds of activities and events and opportunities that we have here in Warner College. There are so many different interesting things going on to think expansively, to think about the different ways in which we engage the world, the ways in which we tackle some of these big problems that we're confronting. And so to me, that's one of the most exciting things about being here, is that there are a lot of people that are really interested in working together and supporting each other and thinking in creative and new and expansive ways. And so I would just invite students to get involved and engage in whatever way that they can. Of course, JSET is a place to do that, but there are so many different other opportunities to do that. And so I'm really excited to be here. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to talk with you, and thank you so much for the time and the space.